throat normalized for this early morning's use. We prayed for you a lot this week, a whole lot. There's been many, many men fasting for you Thursday and Friday, that you will feel something special that you never felt in your life. And I believe that. I believe that with all of my heart, that the answers to prayers have been shortened, which means as soon as you pray it, the answer is there. Because he said, before you even pray, I will answer. And so there's a closing of the gap between prayer, petition, and answer. Look for it. It's going to be quickly done. I will do a quick work in the last days. Be encouraged in the Lord, the God of your salvation. If your last name starts with A, J, L, N, Q, or S, you may be seated. Thank you very much. If your last name starts with B, D, F, W, U, or Y, you may be seated. If your last name starts with A, C, E, G, T, V, X, or Z, you may be seated. And if your last name starts with I, K, M, O, P, or R, you may be seated. This is the Summer Quest for Souls, and it will end September the 21st. And so everyone participate by using our brand new handouts, the door hangers, the most gorgeous door hangers you have ever seen, and also the wonderful, wonderful little decorative thing you can leave on every table or in every go up to see your office that's been empty for a long time and just leave a bunch of these, because they are especially for you. You belong here. Now you need to inform your visitors to fill out the card of visiting the church for the first time, and I'm a guest of. We've got to know who you are a guest of so that we can include you into the greatness of victory. We are Olympians. This is the summer harvest, and I've never felt so close to the summer harvest as I feel right now. It is so wonderful what God is doing. Closer and closer and closer. There will be no more delay. Time shall be no more. Your kids will be blessed. Your marriage will be blessed. Your jobs will be blessed. There will be so many wonderful things happening to you. But you've got to come here to get the replenishing of these words. We're so glad to have Carol with us today. Carol Humphrey and all these people that have come with him. The fish place in Pflugerville, we helped begin that with Carol. We used to make commercials there. And now he's here in our church, and we are so glad for you. We're believing for your healing today. We're believing for your healing. Now, speaking of healing, we have Sharon Willis with us today. And Sharon makes me nervous because ever since I've known her, there's a feeling of an aristocratic situation there. She seems to be just so prim and proper and wonderful and great. And you got to remember that Sharon, before you ever met her, we met her, and we collaborated on a wonderful, wonderful production called Jesus the Miracle. And where I really started admiring her so much is because she took Jesus the Miracle and she began to weave it into a beautiful, wonderful, as the visitors would say, Broadway production. And we would produce this with her direction every year for many years. And there was over 10,000 people that saw Jesus the Miracle. That was written, directed, and produced by Sharon Willis. Now, what I tried to do was weave my way in there, but there was no room. No room. These people would leave work and bring their lunch, their suppers with them in the lunch bag and practice from January the 1st all the way to April the 1st. Jesus the Miracle. Sharon Willis. Would you give her a big hand right now? God bless you, Sharon. Bless you so much. You make me nervous. Come right up here.
It's dangerous to give me a microphone. But I promise not to take advantage of your good time. But I do want to tell you, miracles are what our God gives us. And sometimes he says yes, and sometimes he says no, and sometimes he modifies it. And I've kind of gotten into that modifying business now. I really like him to modify what's fixing to happen. But I tell you, I have been so blessed with so much from this church. You've taught me so many things. You've allowed me to be involved in so many things. And I'm very, very grateful, Pastor. I told my, one of the things he said asked me to do was talk about my healing. And this was kind of a new situation for me because I've been so blessed with such good health. And I don't have time to be sick. Paul didn't have time to be sick. People say, why do y'all stay on the road all the time? He's 87 and I'm 72, and I'm going to tell you what, we are busy beavers. And that being sick is not in our plan. But anyway, I will start this little tale, and I'll try to make it real short as Sharon can make it. But anyway, we live in a house out in the country, out in Elgin in the country, and my journey with this health issue started there. I was going up on the steps, and I had my hands full naturally, and I missed my step, and I fell flat down in the flower bed. And the bad thing about the flower bed was there was a post here and then all of the little shrubs here, and I was molded into that and couldn't get out. So finally Paul pulled and tugged and got me out, and so I got my stuff all back gathered, and then I lost my balance and I fell back on a brick piling, and I mean I was really hurting at that stage. And I thought, God didn't get my attention the first time, so he tried it again. And so anyway, we went on in, and that was the beginning of some pretty uncomfortable days. That was when the freeze came. And our house our temperature was 47 degrees, and I was in bed, and of course my back was hurt, and I couldn't get up. I managed to get out of bed by falling, and Paul rushed in there and was trying to get me up and knew that we weren't going to make it in that house for very long. So we called our really good friends, David and Elaine Patton, many of you know, and they were at their ranch and couldn't get back. So we went to their condo where it was nice and toasty and warm. Well, I'm going to tell you what, I sat in a recliner for 4 days, and I was not feeling well at all. But finally, I decided I can't stay here the rest of my life, so we're just going to have to get up and go. But before I got ahead of myself, when we were trying to get down the steps in the house to go to the Pattons, I couldn't get up. And I was way too big for Paul to pick up and carry. And so we finally talked somebody talked the volunteer fire department into coming and getting me. Nobody could get anywhere. And then an ambulance appeared. So, God's got all these things in hand, and he doesn't fix it or bring it till you need it. So, and I definitely needed it. Well, after that, and I was sick for about a month, and I'd get better, and bless Whitney's heart. Most of you don't know Whitney, but this lady right there by Paul gets me out of all the things that Paul can't get me out of, and I get her into a lot. But anyway, we decided at that point that we were going to have to just give up being sick and go have fun. So we did, kinda, and we went to Paul has had a lifelong dream of having a home in New Orleans. And just what we needed to do with all our partying that we do, we're afraid to go out at night. But anyway, we went to New Orleans, and I want you to know that old devil got a hold of me. And Paul wasn't the devil, but he did buy a whole bunch of boiled crawfish. So we sat and had more fun eating those crawfish, had a great time. Well, till about 8 o'clock that night. And those crawfish were not nearly as good coming up as they were going down. But anyway, we prayed, and I mean, I'm talking about being sick until like 3 in the morning, and I finally told Paul, I said, you're going to have to do something. God's going to have to do something, or I'm going to have to jump off this balcony because I can't stand this anymore. Well, he prayed, and I prayed, and we prayed, and the pastor prayed, and lo and behold, I went to sleep that night. And that was, it's one step at a time, and that was the first step. Well, we had moved some of our furniture in. We had all kind of exciting adventures even in that. Whitney had put a bed, gotten one of those blow-up beds. I have never seen one of those before. But anyway, we crawled, got that out, and on the box it said, no pump. And I called Whitney, and she said, yeah, I went back in Walmart's and got the pump. And I said, well, I don't know what you did with it, sweetheart, but it isn't here. So Paula and I crawled in the car and spent that night. That was our first night at that new house. We had to stay there. We crawled in the car, and we spent the night in the car. Well, anyway, in and amongst all of this, Jacob, our wonderful friend, helped move all kinds of stuff down there for us, and we were just in hog heaven. And we would come back, and then we would go back. And I would have these little interims of not feeling very good. So the doctor, in fact, told me, he said, I'm getting you to a specialist because I don't know what's wrong with you. You won't stop this. So I said, okay. And so we went to, and as I was telling you before, God sometimes gives you a little twist in what's happening in your life. Well, he gave us a little twist. We went back to the house in New Orleans, and we're getting ready to move a lot more stuff in. And if you know Paul and I and our stuff, we have lots of stuff. Anyway, when Whitney came to work with me, I told her she didn't have to dust. And she told me the other day, now I know why I didn't dust. I'd have never done anything but dust. But anyway, we went back to New Orleans, and I was so excited because I was feeling good that day. Went in the house, looked around, and there was no stuff, no crystal, no any of that, any of the little extra things. There were no sheets. I mean, it was a mess. Well, I don't guess we'd ever been robbed before, and it took a few minutes for me to realize that's what happened. And I said, God, why did you let somebody come in and steal all these wonderful things you've given to us? You said, well, honey, sometimes you don't need all that junk. So anyway, we had the police come. Someone asked us if we call the police, and I said, yeah. And they said, well, what did they do? And I said, well, we called about 5, and one little single policeman got there at midnight, looked around a little bit, and said, well, you might be hearing from the detectives. And we never heard from anybody. But that's neither here nor there. Paul and I made up our minds. We weren't living in that house. Apparently, we didn't get that house blessed just right. So we immediately called our realtor and said, you need to put this house on the market tomorrow. And again, I was not feeling well. The movers were supposed to come. I mean, it was just a mess. But we got all of that taken care of. We got all of our furniture out, and we had we were ready to decide what God had for us next. Well, again, I went through another one of those seizures, and bless Whitney's heart, she pulled the bed down from upstairs so I could lay on the floor so that I didn't have to sit in a chair all evening. But anyway, we got all of that done. Carol spent all kind of time bringing us food. So you notice neither one of us got skinny through that little ordeal. But anyway, we had a God, we were so grateful to God that we hadn't been there. You know, we can go in at midnight and never think twice about it. And if we'd walked in on those people, the Lord only knows. But I want you to know they didn't take the major furniture because they had to get everything out through a window to not be seen. And they got all kinds of things. And every time I looked around, I still think, oh, that's gone. The burglars got this. I hope they needed it. We didn't need it, but we did love it, and we were so grateful God let us enjoy it for so long. Then, as time went on, I had another round of that upset stomach, and like I said, the doctor said, I don't know what to do with you, girl, but we got to find your problem. So anyway, we prayed, and we went to well, I won't call him a nut doctor. Brother Phillips said that I needed to be a little more sophisticated, but we went to a psychiatrist and we talked to him, and I think he was crazier than we were. I was telling him, I don't know how many trips to the hospital I made, but in making all of those trips to the hospital, one of the doctors said, I told him when I was pregnant 100 years ago that I had my face went numb. And so he said, And I was having problems with, you'll laugh, you wish this had happened long before now, but I had thoughts that would go through my mind, but I couldn't get them to come out through my mouth. And so that was, one doctor decided that was all about migraines, so I don't know if it was or not, but I knew that my God knew what it was about, and he was going to fix it. I just had to give him time, and I had to stay still long enough to do it. So we did, and one night when I was so sick, I told Paul, I said, we got to pray. We got to get a handle on this because I'm ruining your golden years. I think that's what they call them. But anyway, and I said, we got to get this fixed. And so he prayed, and I prayed, and the pastor prayed. And from that time forward, I haven't had any of those symptoms. This was in May. And I continued to go to the doctors just like I was supposed to. And they gave me different kinds of medicines and so forth. But I'd already been through all of that and made that round. Well, I knew that my God was a healing God, and I have called on God to find scissors, to find keys. I mean, I believe in talking to God. Now, I have to tell you, I know his guardian angels when he says, all right, who's up next? When they see Paul and I, they definitely hide because they know we're going to wear them plumb out. And but anyway, this time, he didn't dispatch angels to take care of me. He laid hands on me, and I was well, and I haven't been sick since. And I know I had lots of prayers from you, and I'm so grateful and so thankful and appreciate you so very much. I think I got under my 20 minutes. No, not one time. I just said because you told me I was too much of a lady.
Oh, my goodness. My mother used to say if one in the marriage couple has sense, there's hope. But if they're both crazy, there is no hope. So when you think of Paul and Sharon Willis, you just think of a hopeless, helpless, wonderful adventure of life. I mean, a wonderful adventure of life. Now, she was supposed to have told you how that there was a time in her life when she, just a few months ago, when she could not keep any food down. And she would throw up and throw up and throw up. And it went on and on. There was no way she could live, no way that nothing could stay there to give her strength that had life connected to it. And the doctors didn't know what it was wrong. And they had all kind of examinations until we discovered the wonderful chapter where it talks about the troubled waters. Once a year, an angel would go down and trouble the waters. And anyone who got to the troubled water first was made whole. Not healed, they were made whole. And so I began to analyze the difference between being healed and being made whole. You can be healed, but you still got a lot of stuff that you brought with you from memories of when you had so much trouble in your life. When you're made whole, you're touched from the top of your head to the sole of your feet. And so there was a time in their life too, when they had a cat, and this is how she sounded all the time. And she coughed and coughed and coughed. And I said, Sharon, it's the cat. Get rid of the cat. No, I can't get rid of the cat. Finally, she could go no further. And the doctor says, it's the cat. Get rid of the cat. And so this time, I said, Sharon, we're going to quit praying for you to be healed of sickness. We're going to pray for you to be made whole. Totally healed. Totally. From the top of your head to the sole of your feet, be made whole. And the waters are troubling, and the angels have gathered today, and they've looked across this situation of a congregation, and they said, what is needed the most in a special person in this building? That Sharon would come and say, anyway. She forgot also to tell you that she buried an 11-month-old son many, many years ago. But they made it. They plowed through. They believe the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. She got a PhD traveling to and from Austin to Houston. A portable PhD. She got that riding in the car. These are amazing people. These are amazing people. In this church was born the foster care program of Texas called the Arrow Project. And Paul started working with Mark Tennant. And suddenly, all of a sudden, Mark branched out to Houston. Paul and Sharon took over the remnants of the Arrow Project. And now they have the largest foster care program in the state of Texas. In the state of Texas. So if you want to know about foster parenting, adopting children, that's sitting right in this congregation. There are absolute geniuses on that subject. But back to you. Why did you come? What's wrong with you? And after we've been through the hellacious year that we went through, there's something wrong with all of us that we don't even know about. The fear, the nerves, the lockdown, having to learn to teach kids at school and such. That was at school, have to teach them at home. And there were so many things that we just, there's no way we're going to survive this. Our church went from about 1,500 connected all the way down to 10. 10 people. Not just our churches, all churches went down to 10. And some have never recovered. Some have never started back. They said it would be impossible for us to build what we used to have. We can no longer have church like we used to have. Well, we didn't pay any attention to that. We were kin to Paul and Sharon Willis. We were crazy. We didn't believe that we were going to stay at 10. We just said we're going to preach and pray and sing and shout. And the church began to grow and grow and grow. We have almost 500 getting there. But what's so great is we have over 14,000 over YouTube and thousands over Facebook that we didn't even know about that are watching us right now and watching a red sleeve saying, anyway, God loves you. Would you stand, please? Would you stand, please? We're moving on. We are moving out. We are moving up. We are going for it in the summer of 2021. Thank you, Jesus. Now, I want y'all to take that song you sang at the last and condense it, because that's the most beautiful words, and we just don't have time for all of it. But would you condense it a little? Just a little. Do that for your spiritual daddy. I appreciate it. Everybody turn around and shake hands with somebody right now. You hadn't been able to do that in a year and a half. You can take your mask off too. We can finally see who you are and where you are. You're in a place that God brought you. He brought you. The gap is being closed between petition and promise. Be healed. Be healed. Let the blessings of God, let the blessings of God come to you. Oh. Everybody watching by streaming, just remember that at this place, 1504 East 51st Street, at this place, there's a promise with your name on it. Come on out and see us. Next Sunday is going to be fantastic. A mighty, mighty service of power and praise. Oh, your children, your family, your favor. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I want everyone in here that has a special need for you to come to the front right now. Would you do that? We have wonderful, wonderful oil that has been prepared especially for you. That when the oil is mixed with the faith, the virtue is released. The diabetes, the cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, all the things that we're all dealing with right now. But it will not, it will never defeat us. It will not, it will never defeat us. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. All the ministers begin together. Remember, invite 3 people a day. Pick up your ammunition before you leave. We want to blitz behind the church. Door hangers on every door. Do this summer of 2021. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Just keep coming.